Aloha everyone, your friendly neighborhood movie guy here. Today I had the pleasure of seeing Spider-Man Homecoming, and yes, it was a pleasure. The movie, if you were wondering, yes, it's good. It is very good. I won't say it's top tier Marvel, but it's not disappointing. It's definitely not. How I think I want to handle this is, there are some spoilers I think I do want to mention, so what I want to do is I think I want to do this with a spoiler section at the end. So I'm going to start talking about the movie with no spoilers to begin with, and then at the end I'll give you a spoiler warning, so you can click off if you don't want to be spoiled. Anyway, the movie, I think perfect casting with Tom Holland as Peter Parker, Spider-Man. We saw him in Captain America: Civil War. He looked really good in the part there, but it was only for like a few short scenes. He didn't carry the whole movie. This time he carries the whole movie, and he is just what I want to see. I mean, that was, you know, exactly what I want Spider-Man to be. I really like Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, but no, I think Tom Holland edges him out. I think that is our best Spider-Man on film to date, at least in my humble opinion. I also really liked Michael Keaton as the villain, which was Vulture. That was in the trailers. That's not spoiling anything. Michael Keaton as Vulture. Michael Keaton's always really good. He's got a really good style, and in this role, he was able to bring a sense of menace, a threat to him. He was kind of scary, but at the same time, I mean, you saw. I mean, he was wrong. I mean, he's clearly a villain. He's wrong. He's not doing the right thing, and you know that. You don't sympathize with him, but you understand how he got there. You understand what sent him down that path. So I think that was good villain. This is an MCU movie. Another good villain to add to the MCU. This is probably, because of the Sony thing and the deal, this is probably one that's not going to pop up in other Marvel films, unfortunately. But I think we have to say that the Vulture was a good villain. I really enjoyed that they gave Peter Parker let's say a sidekick that knows his secret. As, you know, in a lot of superhero movies where the superhero maintains a secret identity, there's like one character, like an Alfred to their Batman, that knows their secret and can act as a confidant that they can talk to about what they're going through. And Spider-Man doesn't often have that in many Spider-Man stories. In some, you know, his love interest eventually finds out, and his love interest can double as that confidant. But I mean, this movie we're not at that point. Not to give anything away, but I don't think he's in high school, so yeah, I don't think anyone expected that. But in this case, he's given a classmate, a good friend of his, and I really love the way he does find out. It's a really funny scene. The character himself, his friend, his confidant, his sidekick, is, I think, just a little bit too much of a doofus to be really endearing in and of himself. But I really like the role he plays in relation to Peter Parker, Spider-Man. I really think he's important. That role he plays in the film is important. I mean, he's not. I wouldn't say he's. There was something really annoying about him. It's just I was kind of indifferent to him. He just lacked kind of an endearing quality that you could have maybe had with a character like that. I have to mention this since this is Chesapeake Movie Thoughts. Maryland gets a mention in the MCU. Spider-Man does go to Maryland for a couple of scenes. The MCU, I think they've been to DC before, and they do go to DC again in this movie, but they don't stay isolated in DC. There is stuff for them to do in the surrounding area, which in this case meant Maryland. So hey, there we go. It's our Maryland connection to the MCU. I really liked I really got jazzed about the movie right around the beginning of the third act. There are some secrets in the movie that I wasn't able to see coming. I really like that. And I have to say about Tony Stark, to change the subject a little bit. We know Iron Man's in this. He's in all the trailers. He's in the trailers a lot, actually. So it almost looks like he's got Spider-Man under his wing the whole time. No. About 80% of his appearances in the movie are in the trailers. So this is Spider-Man's movie. This is not an Iron Man Spider-Man team-up movie. This is Spider-Man's movie. Happy Hogan is probably in the movie more than Tony Stark is. So they did manage to keep it squarely a Spider-Man movie, and it's a little bit different of a Spider-Man movie from either the Sam Raimi trilogy or the what's his name, Mark Webb, 2 movies, the Amazing Spider-Man movies, where I think that has to do with the way that it fits into the MCU, because in those previous movies, Spider-Man was kind of the only superhero. I mean, there were super villains, but he was kind of the only superhero to exist. Now, Spider-Man has come along in a world where there already are superheroes. And this movie references the events from other movies and just fits right into the MCU really well, without it feeling like they're deliberately plugging other movies. It's just that's the world in which they inhabit, and the things that were like major important events in the other MCU movies are dealt with. Like they're things that average people have to deal with, and the average people are dealing with them in this movie, as well as spider people. I like that there's no origin story told. There isn't even an explanation of his origin. There are a few kind of vague references to it, but there isn't even a montage to recap it or anything like that, because everybody knows. Everybody knows about bitten by a radioactive spider and all of that. I have to say, I was very happy with the movie. And I'm looking forward to more Spider-Man in the MCU. I'm looking forward to the sequel, which I think I've heard that the sequel, Homecoming 2, is what they're calling it now. That's not going to be the title when it finally does come out. But for Homecoming 2, that is going to be the first Marvel movie, MCU movie, to come out after the 4th Avengers movie, which concludes the Infinity War story arc. And that's going to be interesting. That's going to start up like a whole new story. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to seeing Spidey in other Marvel movies. Especially this Spider-Man, because he is really good at it. Let's see, what didn't I like about the movie? There was, in the final action scene, the way it was shot, unfortunately made it difficult to make out some of the details as to what was going on. So I was a little confused at times. That disappointed me. They have a character in it, the movie. This is something else I didn't like. This character played by Zendaya, who is kind of pointless, and is also kind of obnoxious. I don't like her character. She's this grumpy, don't bother me, everyone else is stupid, why do I have to be in this world that's filled with stupid people kind of character. I mean, she's insulting everyone all the time. I didn't like her, and there really wasn't any point to her. They hinted at something, which I'm going to cover in the spoiler section, maybe, but really it didn't seem like there was much of a point to her character. But I did like the characters that we did get. I liked Peter, of course. I liked his sidekick. I liked the love interest they had for him in this movie. They have a senior girl named Liz, who serves as his love interest. She was a nice, sweet girl. I liked her. They had, of course, Tony Stark in it being Robert Downey Jr. being Tony Stark. I mean, you know what to expect from him. It's kind of weird to me that, this takes place after Civil War. And I don't want to spoil Civil War either, but if you know how that ends, it's kind of weird with the way that Iron Man is being presented. I guess the public doesn't really know what happened there, so the way Iron Man is being presented to the public as opposed to the way Captain America is being presented to the public, I guess it reflects a kind of skewed telling of the events of Civil War. So that, in the back of my mind was bothering me a little bit, but I kind of expected that too. But other than that, if you're, there's really not much reason not to see this. I mean, the action scenes, except for that last one, were all really good. I liked the action set pieces. Comedy was really good. He's as Spider-Man, he's really funny. But he never stops being, like a total nerd and a geek. And you can buy that he's this kid that gets picked on and everything. But when it comes down to putting the suit on, he's excitable. Tom Holland plays a character with this. I mean, he's got this good moral center. He wants to do the right thing all the time, but what gets in the way is his own immaturity, a lot, and that's how Tom Holland plays it. And for a Spider-Man this age, starting off in high school, I think that nails it. I think Spider-Man sometimes is his own worst enemy, and I think that really comes through in this movie. So this is one of the best Spider-Man movies to date, if not the best. I will judge it on future viewings as opposed to like the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man or Spider-Man 2 and see which one I really like the best. But it's a contender. Okay, I'm going to get into the spoiler section now. So, 3, 2, 1, spoilers from this point on. Okay, the twist. I mentioned there were some surprises that I didn't see coming. Yeah, in particular, I meant this one twist, which really took me by surprise. The fact that Liz, the girl that Peter had a crush on, when he goes to pick her up from homecoming, who answers the door but the Vulture? The Vulture is her father. I had no clue that was coming, but I should have. I should have had an inkling. Not because they gave it away in the movie or anything, but I am familiar with Spider-Man stories. Spider-Man stories often will have the villain have some connection to someone that Peter Parker loves. As like the Green Goblin is his best friend's father. I remember stories where Dr. Octopus ends up dating Aunt May. So this happens in Spider-Man stories a lot, so I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was. And I like that when a movie can surprise me like that. Even if maybe I should have seen it coming a little bit, but they really don't do anything to give that away in the movie. The Zendaya character, also, this is going to be a spoiler. There was a little something at the end where her name is Michelle. But at the end, I mean, Liz, because her father's now in jail, her mother's moving her to another state. So she is no longer part of the academic team, the championship academic team. So when the academic team meets, they have to assign a new captain, and they pick Zendaya's character, Michelle. And she says, "My friends call me MJ." So we all know what the initials MJ mean in Spider-Man. It means Mary Jane Watson, the destined love of Peter Parker's life. I mean, some people will argue that Gwen Stacy is his true love, but the one he's destined to be with, the one he's destined to marry, is Mary Jane Watson. So are they saying that she's the equivalent of Mary Jane in this series? I hope that was really more of an Easter egg than anything else, because I would really feel sorry for Peter if he ended up with her, because she's not pleasant. She is not pleasant at all, and I'm not saying anything against the actress Zendaya. I'm sure she's fine, but I mean, the role she's playing. She's playing this very unpleasant person, and unless they have a major character arc for her in the sequel that redeems her, I really don't want her to be the MJ of this series, because I would really feel sorry for Peter if that's the case. She's just this total grump who insults everybody and seems to hate everything. I really hope that's not where they're going. I don't see why they would throw that Easter egg in there if it was just to be an Easter egg and not meant to, mean something. But we'll have to see in future installments. I doubt we'll see this character come up again until the direct Homecoming sequel. I don't think we'll see her in any other MCU movies. But I really love the way that the sidekick finds out the secret identity of Spider-Man, because he's, in this, Peter Parker has, after school, changed into Spider-Man, and he's left his street clothes in a backpack in an alley, and when he's done going out on patrol, he comes back to get his clothes, finds out somebody stole his backpack, and he doesn't have his clothes to change into. So he sneaks back to his apartment as Spider-Man, crawling up the wall and just climbing in the window. His door to his room is open, so he's really trying to make sure that his Aunt May doesn't see him. So he's crawling on the ceiling. He webs the door closed with one of his web lines, and he's just gotten away with it. He falls to the ground, and behind him, sitting next to the window the whole time, is his best friend with a holding Lego Death Star, which he said he was going to bring over for them to work on together earlier in the movie. And he's his jaw is dropped. He's like, "You're Spider-Man." And if anything in the movie was going to endear me to that character, it's probably that moment. I don't think they followed up on it really well, but that was a really good gag, I think, in there. They also end the movie with a pretty good gag that also has to do with someone finding out Peter's secret identity. That's where the Spider-Man suit, the good one, not the best one, because we were introduced to a third Spider-Man suit by the end of the movie. I wonder if that's gonna figure in as maybe the Iron Spider later on, because it did look more armored and high tech. But anyway, he gets the good suit back, not his homemade suit, the one that Tony Stark made for him, the one we saw in Civil War. Tony Stark leaves that in his room in a paper bag, and when he gets back, he puts it on, and then he's standing there in the Spider-Man outfit, just looking at it now that he's got it back. He lost it for a while. And then he's left the door open, and Aunt May comes in, and she's like, "What the?" And then they cut. She's about to curse. They cut the end there, right there, which is funny. I like the idea that Aunt May is going to know, because Aunt May should know. I feel like in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, she did know, at least in the second one, and from the second one on. I feel she did know. I feel she's just, keeping it quiet, but I feel like she did know, because she was a smart lady in there, and I think she's a smart lady here. But, I think it kind of, you miss out on this joke, this gag, that ends the movie, by, just having her subtly figure it out and just being smart about it, which I would kind of prefer, but yeah, you have this good gag to end the movie on. I was happy to see Captain America in the PSAs, I guess you could say, call. And I stayed through the credits for the first after credit scene, or the mid-credit scene. We see the Vulture in prison. He's being, the Mac Gargan is talking to him. That's probably going to be our next villain, because that's, in the comics, that's the Scorpion. And he has a Scorpion tattoo, so they're hinting at it. He was also the one that was buying the weapons from him earlier in the film. But they meet in prison, and he said, I heard a rumor that you know who Spider-Man is. Because of course, he figured it out earlier in the movie. And he says, if I knew who Spider-Man was, I'd have killed him already. So he's not talking. And I wonder if that is, we're just supposed to say he knows his daughter liked him, and is out of respect for his daughter he's not giving him up? Or is it something else? Is it like, when I get out of here, I want to kill him myself. I don't want someone else to kill him. I think it's more that. I think the Vulture wants to come back and kill him himself. So he doesn't want to reveal the identity, so somebody else kills him first. But it could be, something else. Maybe like a little bit redeeming about the character. But I like the final after credit scene where we see Captain America come out for PSA. Like the final shot out of the entire movie that you see in a Spider-Man movie is Captain America, who is my favorite Marvel character anyway. And he comes out and gives you a speech about the benefits of patience, and how patience often pays off, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes what you're waiting for is kind of disappointing. We're the butt of the joke. In fact, in this case, I was the butt of the joke because I don't think anybody else in the theater was staying to watch through the end of the credits. So I got a sense of humor about myself. I was made the butt of the joke by Captain America, but if someone's going to make a joke at my expense, I am fine with it being Captain America. Well done, sir. I think that pretty much covers all my thoughts. This has been a very long video, so we'll end it there. Like, comment, subscribe, and that's a wrap. Thwip!